All right, hi everyone. I'm John.
I'm Joni.
Let me get some light on the situation here. For grow, love, and expand, shine the light.
Ah!
Go to the light, into the light.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this the topic for today?
Yeah. Well, that's a good. What does go to the light mean to you?
Well, I think of that when you're dying.
Yeah.
Or when someone dies, you hear
Yeah.
go to the light.
Or shed light on a new situation. What do you think happens when you die?
Well, you just leave your body. Your your consciousness leaves your body, so you don't really die. You just shed this skin that you're in.
What happens after you die? Do you know? Like when you go to the other side.
Oh, well.
Have you ever thought about it?
I have, and I've talked to you about it, so I kind of have some ideas about it, but maybe you could shed some light on it.
What do you think?
Well, I believe you're met by some, maybe your guides or people that kind of bring you over, and then you have a little bit of a learning process.
Right.
Maybe a life review, what people would know as a life review.
Right.
Things like that, kind of give them a...
So the truth of the matter is, right, you never die. You never really die. Energy cannot be destroyed, right? And in essence, that's what you are, is an energetic being having a human experience, okay? And once this shell is removed, right, or once this, like in the, what was that, the Keanu Reeves one where he was the extraterrestrial, last day on Earth, or when the Earth stood still, and they say, can you be harmed? He goes, this body can, or my body can, but he cannot.
Right.
Right? Because the energy is not going to be harmed. And the truth of the matter is you don't ever really die. But in my experience, what I found in doing readings and having people who have passed over come through is it's more of a like, oh, wow, they had no idea it was that expansive. Usually they're met by somebody they know, either an aunt, an uncle, a spouse, or usually somebody's there to help guide them, take their hand. You see that a lot in hospice situations, which I don't really like what they do sometimes as far as the medicine goes. That's just that morphine. I understand no one, they don't want them to be in pain, but the morphine is not good stuff at all. It's really not good stuff. Kind of puts them in a loopy state even when they pass, right? And typically somebody's there to help guide them. And what happens is generally is they sort of like hang around for a bit, but not in the sense that you think. So, for someone to interact with the physicality of what we call third dimensional reality, it takes a certain frequency synchronicity. And so not everybody is attuned to that. And a lot of times when you immediately pass over, the information that's being given to you from them is usually from a guide who's had experience working in this realm that can actually help with the synchronicity of the vibrational frequency to whereas it doesn't affect your house.
Right.
Such as lights blowing out, computers not working, light bulbs not working.
I had a lot of those kinds of things happen.
Yeah.
And, from past experience.
A person who recently passes tries to come through and go, I'm here, might have that effect. And that's where the guides have to step in and go, whoa, okay, I understand what you're trying to do, but you're disrupting the electromagnetic field of the physicality of the third dimension. Right? And so that kind of alters things. So a lot of times they say, okay, I'm going to help guide you through this. And once that process is completed, and what's really fascinating is honestly, the more you think about them, the more you keep them here. It's best to just let it go. That doesn't mean that you don't grieve or have a grieving process, which you do, but eventually you allow that grieving process subsides a bit and it allows them to move on. Because when we keep that thought, like, you know, when we keep that thought process with us all, it kind of, it's not all like, remember, like, it would have been his 44th birthday today. Like, like, really, come on now. You know what I mean? I understand the human reality behind that, but if you logically, it's kind of selfish in a way because they didn't die, right? So,
but that's what a lot of people don't understand, and right. they just have their human grief, and they tend to hold on to it. I know that they hold on to it probably a longer time than what is good for them to do.
And we're not saying that you do not grieve. You do. You definitely grieve.
No,
and you definitely grieve, and there's a grieving process. But then it becomes selfish after 10 years. You go, they would have been 72 today, because it's like they moved on,
right? And
they want you to move on. So, trust me, they do. But sometimes bringing that thought brings them back, and they're like, okay, it's kind of like in the movie Santa Claus, where they shake the globe, and then the father comes back down because the kid wants to see him. He goes, I've only been gone like 5 minutes. You got to let me go out and deliver these packages.
Yeah.
That's kind of like when you think it brings it back, and they're like, I was kind of really over here, so if you can kind of let me just be me. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times they come back anyways in a different reality because they're soul groups that we're associated with. So they pretty much always reincarnate with a kind of the same sort of soul family. But getting back to what happens is, so they basically hang around for a while because they just basically want to make sure everybody's okay. The guides help them with the energetic field. You may hear knocks on your wall, light flickers in the beginning because that's them wanting to come through, and the guides got to go, whoa, hold back, because their energies are so much stronger over there that until they learn to attune themselves to this frequency, it could cause electrical havoc, right? So once that linear reality sort of runs its course, so then what happens is they go to what is called life review, okay? And what they do is they see themselves for how they lived, okay? And if you think you escape anything, you don't. You don't. I can tell you one of the first things that people see on the other side is the frequency of colors. It's so bright. If you ever had a chance to look at high frequency art, take a look at it. The colors are amazing, right? But so when someone passes and sees it, the first thing is, wow, I didn't know it was that expansive. And then the vividization of colors is amazing. Like, it's so bright, so rich. Like when you look at the color blue, it's like, oh my, this is so just incredibly rich. Like it almost has a life of its own, and the frequency emanates from it, right? And that's what most people go, I had no idea. And even, I mean, there's been case studies, right, where like people were atheists, and they've, with past life regression and these kinds of things, and they were like, oh my, I had no idea it was like this. And
I've actually heard that before from some people who have had either passed or had near-death experiences, or passed and were brought back.
Right.
Talking about the unbelievable color, and they just couldn't get over the beauty and just how rich and vivid everything is. They said the earth seemed dull compared to that.
Yeah,
the third dimensional.
It's 100 times brighter than you can imagine, and then they go into life review, and you basically go, oh my, so I didn't need to do this, I didn't need to do that, I didn't need to do that, I didn't do that. And they go, well, no, not really. No, you didn't really need to do any of that. Like,
is it true that you see the circumstances and how they made others feel, how you affected
So,
others.
well, absolutely, you feel everything.
Right.
You feel everything. You feel everything. What your emotions are, what that other person's emotions are, the interaction between those people. But what you go is go, so I was busting my tail to do all this that really didn't mean anything. Like, attain this career, move up this corporate ladder, or make this money and do all that. And I'm not saying that all that isn't good or okay to do if that's in your path. But some people do it just because they think that's what they're supposed to do, even though it may not be in their best and highest good and they really have a calling in another area. But because it doesn't seem that that's going to make money, or they don't think they're going to be able to make a career out of it, they never do it. And so, they're striving for something that really they never, and they're not really ever happy,
Mm-hmm.
And people spend eons doing this, and they come back and then they go back and they die and they come back and they go back and they die again. And it's like a vicious cycle that's on a wheel that they, that's why I say sometimes, when people make a change, it might be difficult in the beginning because you've been living a certain way for a very long time, that it's going to be difficult for the mind to finally come into context with the new reality.
Right.
Right? Because the heart's saying go over here, but the mind's going, yeah, but I'm so used to this. Right? And a lot of times things don't work out because it's our mind, our doubt.
Yes.
Right? And so when we go to the other side, we go, oh my, so I didn't really have to have doubt. No, this, so this wasn't really important. No, Porsche wasn't important. I'm not saying you can't have a Porsche, but your reasons for getting the Porsche were not really incongruent with higher self reality. In other words, you did it because it was a ego-driven move. Like, I drive a Porsche, not just because I just want to experience driving a Porsche for fun. See, you see what I'm saying?
There's a difference. Yeah,
there's a big difference there. There's an ego-driven reality, and then there's a non-ego-driven reality. It's kind of like, well, I want to live in a mansion. Why? Just because it's fun. I've never experienced that, ever. Nobody in my family's ever experienced that. I just want to experience that. Do I need it? No. Will I give it up tomorrow? Absolutely. I don't care. It doesn't be a big deal to me. See, or like, oh, it's prestige. I have a mansion. There's different context to it, and you realize, wow, so that really wasn't important. It's like, no. So what was really important? Well, what was really important is the interactions you have with people and those moments that you have with people. And that's what I find sometimes so frustrating with me is, hey, do you want to come over? No, we got to do nothing. What are you doing? Nothing. I got to plan this and I got to put it in my calendar and everything is planned out to the minute, right? There's no spontaneity. There's no nothing. And it's like, you miss out on so much in life. Hey, you guys want to just take a ride to Vegas? Oh, no, we can't do that. We got to do this. We got to do this. Really? What do you got to do? Nothing. Then you go to the other side and you go, yeah, it really wasn't that important, was it?
Yeah.
Right?
Some of the best times I've had have been the most spontaneous.
Right.
The spontaneity. It's important. It's very spur of the moment. How about we take a ride here? Or why don't we go there? Or
it's so funny how it's lost in people because when you look at a child, that's what they do. And then when people say, well, you're a child of God, God is all that is, then why wouldn't you act the same way? Right?
Yeah.
And so we spend so much time in this sort of wheel. Some call it a karmic reel that just is never ending, that gets, I always love when people say, well, it's genetics. It's not genetics at all. What it is a behavioral trait that keeps getting passed down. And that cycle just continues to fester. And somebody along that cycle goes, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. This ain't for me. This sucks. This is crap. And what you were telling me, what this person was, is no, that doesn't ring true to me, and I want a different path.
Right.
And then that starts a whole new genome, right, of behavioral traits. Because which is fascinating, which people don't understand too, is your cell has a memory to it, believe it or not, and it's a cell memory that gets passed down. So negative thoughts, negative impressions, they get passed down.
Right.
And those lineages can continue the same trait over and over, year after year, generation after generation.
Right. So it's environmental.
I mean, they've done studies, and this is something you can research, where someone was in jail like in 1818, and the whole lineage, they're in jail.
Right.
Well, where does that come from? Well, until someone goes, yeah, this isn't for me. This isn't my life. I don't choose this, right? They alter, so they change the behavioral trait of the lineage of that soul family. It's quite fascinating, actually. That's why I say, if you think you're not important, you are important. You're very important in what you do, and you can make a difference in your life. And so when you go to the other side and you do a life review, you go, oh my, all these things don't really matter, but the things that really matter is the interaction you have with people.
Right.
And that's really the only thing that's going to be looked at. And it's not going to be looked at by anybody other than you. So they say, well, it's the only thing that's going to be judged. Well, no one judges you but you. And you're going to go, oh, man, so I'm God? It's like, yeah, kind of. Yeah, you are. You had the reality to change your life. You're a co-creator to the experience of all things, which means you have the ability to change your life. Oh, man. Why didn't I do that down there? Well, we tried to give you a lot of avenues. We had guides, spirit guides, angels. We tried to push you here. We tried to push you there. We tried to push you there. Some people live it beautifully. Most don't, however, right?
Yeah.
So they keep incarnating and incarnating. The only thing that people didn't really understand when the whole thing was originated is the forgetfulness through the birth canal. And it's like we're one of the only species that has that capability. For whatever reason, when we go through the birth canal, we forget who we are. And there's no remembrance of past lives. There's no remembrance that we are a part of this God, Goddess, all that is, this love energy. Right. And so we spend a lifetime trying to figure this out. And eventually, after maybe 4,000 lifetimes or 40 lifetimes, someone says, who am I? And then God goes, great, finally, we got him. That's where we want you to be. Because a lot of times when people get to that place, some call it rock bottom, but they go, who am I? Because now you're in a more apt-tuned place to listen and hear, right? You're not trying to think you know it all the time. You're not trying to control your reality. You're not thinking, well, I know it all. I don't need you to tell me anything.
Right.
Right? And God's going, you kind of don't know it all, but we can help with this. We can help you. And then you go, wow, so I am really this force? You go, yeah, you are pure love. Mm-hmm. And then you see yourself on the other side and you go, man, so what do I do now? And your guides will go, well,
gotta go back.
You kind of got to go back. Yeah. You don't have to. You can do it here. It's going to be a lot harder over here because over here it's instantaneous reality. Thoughts are things, and also you deal with ultimate truth. So there's no lying to yourself over here. When you think it, guess what? You think it. Down there, you think it and it doesn't really become reality. It does in an etherical sense, absolutely, and it hangs out there. And then once you realize that wasn't the greatest thought or the greatest action, like, yeah, I wish I was dead, then you really actually are an etheric reality. This goes in a whole different topic because they realize that, okay, humans are not really in control of their thoughts, so they grab those thoughts so they don't manifest into creation, and they hold them off in sort of a limbo, which is the term limbo land, which most people misinterpret. They think you're in limbo. It doesn't exist. But thoughts exist in that reality, kind of like back in a computer program. Okay? And it just holds here until you realize, God, why did I ever think that? I should have never thought that. There's a thing in What the Bleep, What the Bleep, it's a movie. It's pretty good, check it out. But she's in the mirror calling herself ugly and this, and then she realizes, I'm none of those things. I'm a beautiful, perfected being who I am. Right? And she starts to laugh because she sees herself as the greatness that what she is. And that's what you see over there on the other side in the life review. So a lot of times what happens is they go, oh, man, so I got to go back. And they go, well, it's going to be the best thing, probably. So then what happens is you get with your soul group once again, and you go through, okay, I'm going to do this life, I'm going to do this, and this. And then you're going to ask if this, and this goes in agreement with me, and then who's going to birth me, who's going to bear me, right? And so what happens is you go into a contractual agreement, basically.
Right. So your life is more or less mapped out or planned out
100%.
before you get there.
Right. 100%.
Which we've kind of touched on before.
Before you're born into
right.
the earthly realm.
Before
yes.
you're born.
100%. 100%. Already
so
mapped
you
out.
forget, but your plan for your life is already there.
Already there.
Right.
And your guides and your
path.
spirit guides are trying to get you and keep you on that path.
Right.
Everything else is trying to take you away from that path because honestly, they don't want you to know yourself because knowing yourself is power. And down here, people don't want you to have that power because they want to be able to control you through through ego.
Right.
Because their lack of self-understanding is what drives their consciousness towards you.
Right.
Until they realize and wake up.
Right.
Which is very difficult, which is why sometimes you have to be very strong. That's why I say you can love people, but you don't have to always like people. Right? And you can always be around people, but you don't have to stay around people. Right? And it's not because they're bad people. They just don't have an understanding of who they are. So it's okay to go, you know what, love you, bless you, but I'm gonna let you go and you live your life. I'm gonna live my life, and I wish you the best that you could possibly be, and hope that you find the understanding that you are great one day.
Right.
And so I hope that makes sense. You know, when the death process and the actual rebirth process and how you go about creating this. And yes, 100%, you know, so you go in this contractual agreement and 100% your life is already mapped out. If you could just trust that instinctual reality that already exists, if we could somehow take humanity and teach them to follow this intuition, we wouldn't have needs for, what we have today, right? Churches, schools, and everything else, because we really wouldn't need them. Learning to read and write and arithmetic, yes, okay, I understand, yes. But so many other things would go away because there'd be no need for them. We have the understanding of who we are, right? I mean, an ant doesn't go to church every week. You know?
Right.
The reason why these things existed originally was to help people find themselves. What happened is man got a hold of them and manipulated and said, hey, this is a way to make money.
Yeah, we can work on this.
Yeah, I can. This is a way to make money. I can manipulate these people and get them to have fear and doubt in themselves to where they'll want to believe in me,
and
to where I can get money from them and I can collect money and then I have power. Yet what they don't understand is that you have no power. Because when you die, all that goes away and there's nothing left but just yourself. There is no ego on the other side. That doesn't exist. So, I mean, all that manipulation that you were doing really is kind of pointless. And you go, yeah, Lord, why did I do that? And they go, well, I don't know why you did that. I mean, we know why you did it, but I mean, why you kept doing it, we don't know. We give you we had this happen to you, this happened to you, this happened to you, but you never caught on and you just continued on the same path. Right? And so then you get reborn, you come down, you start it again because why you forgot. So your guides and angels are trying to guide you and push you, and they may have this go on, this go on. And a lot of examples I use is you're driving your car and you're going, I don't know where to go. And the car in front of you, their light is flashing with the red blinker on. But we never stop and go, oh, there's my sign.
Yeah.
It was right in front of you the whole time.
Right.
Turn right. That's why we say, God, God is all that is, whatever you want to call it, has never, not one day in your life ever left you. Not one day. Not 1 minute, not 1 second, not one iota of reality that you can even consciously fathom. Not ever. It's always and will always be around you, within you, and all that you are. Period. With that, I hope you enjoyed it. Guys, please, comment below. Please like, subscribe. Send this out to others. Again, if it rings true to you, always say, this makes sense. If it makes sense to you, please like it, subscribe it, share it, comment below. If you have questions, jbliss30@gmail.com. jbliss30@gmail.com. email me. I'll be happy to look at the email and answer questions. Okay? So with that, I'm John.
And Joni.
For Grow, Love, and Expand, you guys remember, always love yourself and have a great rest of your night.